Hey guys, Jim with Jeffrey here. So today I want to talk about a squat variation that's really beneficial in strengthening your bottom position coming out of that hole. So this variation is called pin squats, and you'll see, and it is like a go-to variation for a lot of coaches and for a lot of lifters because it really it punishes you, or it exposes mistakes in your technique or strength weaknesses issues in that bottom section of that hole. Now, in the squat, the lockout position or the eccentric phase with most lifters that I've seen, and in general, most people that don't have any problems with that, because those are areas where you're not pushing against a heavy load, and they're positions that you do come across a lot in daily life. So coming out of that hole, so in that bottom position, that with most lifters I've seen in general, that is the one area where most sticking points occur. And what that means is that, so basically that's the one segment of the lift where most strength weaknesses will occur and strengthening will need to occur. And you'll see that when I say weaknesses, I mean like there'll be like a hip shoot coming to the hole, or if you look at a velocity-based tracking of the movement, you'll see that coming out of the hole. That's the segment of the lift where the lift is slowed down, or the speed or that rate isn't consistent because there is a stick point there. So in order to combat that issue, pin squats, are like one of the best variations to do, because essentially you're forcing yourself or the lifter to come to a dead stop on the pins, and as a result, when you come back off the pins, you need to stay really tight, and you need to have the necessary quad strength in order to negate a hip shoot coming off those pins, and in order for like your torso and your angles to be maintained. Now, what I actually want to talk about in today's video is how people the eccentric phase of pin squats. So a lot of people, when they come down during that eccentric phase, they go with gravity, and they pretty much just drop onto the bar unnecessarily, and it comes down with a lot of force, and essentially you're negating one of the main benefits of the lift, of the variation, sorry. So one of the main benefits of this variation is that it makes you work on your tightness coming down onto the pins, coming down into the hole, because a lot of people, they just dive bomber, they just drop very fast. And if you think about it, when you just drop very fast coming into the hole, essentially the barbell, you're letting gravity and momentum add weight to the barbell, because gravity travels down towards center of earth at 9.8 meters per second. So the weight that you've got on the bar isn't the same weight that you have on your back. When you just dive bomb and you don't really control that descent, that weight will actually, the resistance will add up. So that's why it's so important to stay tight and really control that tempo coming down to the pin squats. Now, I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube where cases where I've had to send videos to my athletes demonstrating pin squats, and a lot of the times that the demonstrating videos, they perform pin squats very uncontrollably, and they drop very fast. So I thought I'd do a good demonstration today. And another reason that we really want to control that tempo, that descent, that eccentric phase, is because it helps us maintain our overall tightness. Because once we've built tightness through our brace, we want to maintain that coming down into the hole, during the hole, and coming out of the hole. Tightness and bracing is number one. So if you're dive bombing the squat, the eccentric phase, you're going to leak a lot of tightness. So now I'm just gonna, I've set up my rack here today. I've set up the pins. So when you set up the pins, in general, it will vary depending on the specific goal of the pin squat. Say you want to strengthen a lockout, you might set the pins a little higher. But in general, because you want to strengthen the hole position coming down to the hole, you set the pins at about a parallel height with their hip crease. So right now, I'm just gonna run through a couple reps demonstration of pin squats. You guys will really see the tightness and the brace I create, and you'll see the tempo and the control I come down to onto the pins with to ensure that I keep that tightness. So hopefully you guys from that, you could see that even though my initial break and the first segment of that lift, I would say I was traveling at a normal speed. As I went closer to the pins, I actively slowed that down just to compensate and to prepare my body and that barbell for the pins that were about to come to contact. You guys, for each rep, you guys should have heard two noises. You would have heard that just in my case because I do have a instability across the shoulders. I've got a right shoulder impingement, so the bar doesn't sit completely straight on my back. So you'll hear that. You'll see what happened was that my right side made contact first, and then my left side. And so that's also another really good benefit of pin squats, where it exposes flaws like that, exposes weaknesses or instabilities in your movement. But in general, the tempo which I came down with, and essentially when you come into contact with the pins, you want it to be a very soft touch. You're not just dropping the bar into the pins. You want it to be a soft touch, and I think that's the main takeaway that I want you guys to take away from this video. So just to go over, long story short, when you're doing pin squats, make sure that as you come into contact with the pins, that it's a very soft touch and you're not just dropping it uncontrollably. So that's all for me today. Hope that was helpful for you guys, and I'll catch you guys next time.